with what do you think is the gradients between the happiness and unhappiness?
Well, I think there's also just basic apathy, really, or what people may refer to as meh. You know, you're neither feeling happy nor you're feeling unhappy, and I think there's a challenge even in that very often when you feel unhappy about something, at least it gives you motivation to change it. Okay, when you're feeling apathetic, very often that doesn't give any particular motivation. So for a long time, people may find themselves in a kind of quagmire of in a situation where they are not feeling happy, but not feeling unhappy enough to do anything about it. So very often, the stronger the negativity, the more motivation there is to change it. So I would suggest that it could be that this kind of gray area between happiness and unhappiness could possibly be the most dangerous of the three states that one can find themselves in. Because at least when someone's unhappy, they are often motivated to do something about it.
That's a great point. Yeah. Wally, what do you think?
Thank you. There are going to be loads of them.
I just wanted to say that Simon was completely right. And that's all I have to say. No, I really think that, happiness gets a bum rap. I think people put a lot of pressure on the word happy. It's, why am I not happy? Why am I not happy? And happy's like, well, I can't do it all. We're not happy 24/7. We're not happy all the time. You recognize happy, and what you're going to do is try to stay in that happy and enjoy it, and understand that you are going to have, some challenges, and it's going to take you out of your happy. But once you know and understand what you're dealing with, that you can appreciate getting back to the happy, having those happy thoughts, thinking about, simple things, hanging out with your family, that your favorite dessert, putting on your favorite outfit, that will put you in a happy mood or a happy mode, so to speak. So that's my thing, is that to put all that pressure on happy, it's not a real thing. It's almost basically a myth. It's just a place that you strive for and try to hang out, and like an island, I should say, like an island, and hang out there from time to time. So that's the way I can express it.
Mm-hmm.
Something here, Kate.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, thank you. I respectfully disagree with what our panel said so far, Mr. Latter. In that, I do think that middle ground, and it's individualistic, right? I think the middle ground is what I call safe, right? And some people feel that if they're not happy, then they must be sad. There's a time that doing things that brought us moments of happiness now don't do it. And I think that when people get more comfortable and are okay, for example, you may be okay sitting on your couch, watching TV. You might be okay going for a walk in the park. I think though, and Wally may have been hinting to this, happiness, what is deemed as happiness, which may be a mirage, has changed. Because now happiness is when you look on social media and you see people doing things or doing activities and you say, wow, they are living the life and I'm just on my couch. So you go from being happy with being in that middle area to now wanting more, feeling that's going to make you happy. But then let's say, for example, somebody's on vacation. You say, if I can only get to vacation, I'm going to be happy as heck. You get on vacation, it's fun, but it's not giving you the feeling that you think you should have. Because again, you go back in social media and somebody's doing something else. And you're always saying, wow, they look so happy. I want that. So it's sort of like, I think people get unsatisfied and we're forgetting that happiness is, it's okay to be okay, right? You don't have to be gushing, smiling. So I think there is a gray area that is very, very comfortable. I wouldn't call it happy and I wouldn't call it unhappy. I would just call it, I'm cool, I'm okay. It's all good.
Cool, Colin, thank you for that. Nina, what do you think?
When and I'm leaning at, well, I mean, if we're gonna, I don't know that we have to have slides here, but I think that Colin brought up a really important point about, and one of the things I was thinking when I was listening to Simon talk about this middle place, which is interesting. I didn't know if Kate, you expected us to go there, but that middle place is that place of non-attachment. It's actually an incredibly a wonderful goal. It's that place of content and satisfaction, of not needing, to have a measure. And one of the things that's really problematic with our whole concept of happiness is that it requires judgment, it requires measurement. And that being said, people end up getting on what Colin was alluding to, which is called the hedonic treadmill. What's made you happy one time no longer does. So it's like now you have to find something new. But if you go to that center place of just contentment, that's always there's in Sweden there's a concept called langum. It means enough. And actually in Costa Rica there's a concept called pura vida, and they both really speak to that just enough, that place of satisfaction. And it's a really a beautiful thing. But I do know that there's a quote that I came across just yesterday, and I thought it was great because it spoke so much to where we're going. And think about this quote. The quote is, avoiding unhappiness is not the road to happiness. So in other words, unhappiness, avoiding it and doing everything you can to get away from it, and then pursuing this other thing that you really want, it's not gonna, neither is gonna make you happy. So somehow in the center of like where you are, and we talked about this a lot before, I think all of the speakers last time touched upon how important gratitude and appreciation is in feeling that sense of like, I would call my life happy. And maybe it's not, jump up and down, gleeful happy, but I think a lot of times when we talk about happy, we're talking about that center gradient of, I feel satisfied, I feel fulfilled, I'm complete as I am. I'm not, joyous bouncing, but I'm okay where I am, and I can take the bumps of unhappiness and the highs of joyful happiness, and I'm just in a content place of, and that really speaks to one of my key things that I love to talk about, which is flourishing, which is our ability to ride the waves of life.
Thanks for that, Nina. Paul, what do you think?
Well, I love that everybody's bringing up different aspects of it and that there's not a single route and a single definition. When I studied with Tony Robbins, he talked about this formula for happiness, and he got it from somewhere else. If LC equals BP, then you're happy. If LC doesn't equal BP, then you're not happy. LC is your life conditions equal your blueprint, then you're happy. So someone whose life conditions, they could be a millionaire, they could have the wife or husband of their dreams, they could have, they could be a movie star, and they could be miserable because they're comparing it against some blueprint, or we've heard social media. What creates a lot of happiness or unhappiness is what we or who we compare ourselves with. And if we ask ourselves really, and I'd be blunt, if we ask ourselves shitty questions, we end up feeling shitty about life. If we ask ourselves really good questions, we can end up feeling good about ourselves and good about life. And this goes back to gratitude questions like, what am I happy about today? And send that mind, that reticular activating, is that part of the mind that's searching. It's like the internal Google, what am I happy about to now? And if you keep asking yourself questions, you'll start to find answers. And if you ask yourself crappy questions like, what's bad about today? You could be in the most wonderful situation. You could be on the vacation that Colin talked about or whatever, and you could be miserable. I was in Hawaii once. There was this couple fighting in the hot tub, looking over Kauai, looking out over the Pacific Ocean. Like, they couldn't have been a more magnificent place, and they couldn't have been more miserable. So they were asking themselves crappy questions. So if somebody wants to take away something from all of us, it's like, learn what questions somebody ask themselves to be happy, even in miserable circumstances. Don't let the outside world run it. There you go. There's my check-in.
Thanks, Paul. Elliot, what do you think?
Yeah, I love it. I love it. This conversation, right? Because it's not a one size fits all where it's like, oh, this is one way to do it or one way to be happy. No, there's plenty of ways to do it. And, just kind of, I could see what Simon was talking about earlier. When you get in that middle ground of you're too comfortable, now you're not taking action. You're not getting to the place of happiness. And what Nina and Collins also said is it's okay to be in that middle ground, because it's so hard for us to make a switch of saying going straight from unhappiness to happiness. Right? There's got to be that transition piece of going from unhappiness to happiness. And it's going to be that middle ground where you find that. And what Paul said was, where's that focus, right? Where are you putting that focus? Am I focusing on somebody else's life? Am I comparing my life to somebody else's life? Or I'm putting that focus on myself and being okay with where I'm at and saying, oh, I may not be in Hawaii looking at the beach, but I'm here, I'm healthy, I'm happy. Right? And just having those small celebrations of, hey, I have my health, I have my family, I have people around me, that makes me happy. I don't necessarily need to be on the beach in Hawaii where it's 70 and sunny all the time. Yes, I would love to be there, but I'm here in the cold. It's like 10 degrees outside, but I'm happy because I'm healthy, I'm with my family. And that's all. That's what I'm grateful for in this moment.